Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today's episode, I'm going to be wiring in two different light products here inside of the van. One is going to be an LED light bar that turns white, warm, or a mix of white and warm, variable power as well. I'm going to be mounting this likely up here in this area to shine down on this desk area. Nice little reading light. And then we've got I think it's like 16 feet of these RGB LED light strips, which is going to be going all the way around the van, which is also going to help light up the van. Different colors, different brightnesses, more importantly, different power consumption on different levels. So let's get into it. Alright, so I've got the diesel heater turning on right now, so hopefully that doesn't make a whole lot of noise. The pump for the diesel heater is suspended, so it's not actually hard mounted to a wall, so it doesn't thump and echo a lot in this van. Where it's suspended, it's actually really quiet. So the two products I have, you guys seen the packaging for that. So I have the single light bar here, which is interesting because it actually comes with a block that works on AC. We're not going to be using AC because that obviously burns more power. We're going to be tapping into the 12-volt system here in the van. And this is a really slim line light bar that is going to get mounted right there. And it's going to bump this whole area full of light. And then, like I was saying earlier, we have the light strip here, which has a little controller box. It has a remote. And then it does run on AC power, but it burns very, very little AC. So this needs to be mounted on the other side of the van where the brains of the operation is for my AC outlets. I could run it over here because I do put a Jackery battery up here often and plug it in, but I don't want to rely on that. I'd much rather have this somewhere permanent where it can actually bump into some AC power. So I think what I'm going to do first is just start off with this light bar. It's very quick and simple. I've turned the diesel heater on to heat up the van because we are working with adhesives and it is a little chilly in here today. So we'll get this nice and warm. That way it'll definitely stick to the aluminum strip up here from the old curtain rail. And once we get that on, we'll give it a test run, and then we'll start on the light strip, which is going to be a little bit more involved because I've got to go all the way around the van, starting in a strategic spot and ending in a strategic spot because this cord's not very long. So let's get started. All right, so just before I get started with doing this, I just kind of want to show you what my basic lighting situation is here in the van right now. It is bright in here, the windows are open, but just to give you guys an idea, I do have a reading light tucked up here behind the Sirocco fan, which is on a switch. It does a great job at lighting up this entire area as a nice soft reading light, but it's only in one spot and it kind of shines down, which is cool. It works really well. I like it and I'm going to keep it. I also have a lantern light that I hang on this side, this little pedal style light. I hang it up here, and this is variable level, really bright. And the fact that it's right above the table is really useful, but there's a mirror there as well which reflects the light to the other side of the van. So that works really nice, and I actually enjoy that as well because I like the warm lights. And that's battery chargeable as well via USB, but I would like to have a nice solid light here for when I'm doing computer work or reading or just setting an ambience in the van. So that's where that's going to go. I also have this white light and this white light, which are both wired into the 200 amp hour system here, as well as everything else. But they're white and I don't like them. I want something that's a little bit warm light. So these, I'm going to be leaving these, I should mention. I'm going to be leaving those in because it is light and it's on demand light. But I do want some warm light for when I'm in here at nighttime. So this is like get up and go pee, turn a light on, see where I'm at, you know, go out, do what I got to do. But they're not very comfortable. So that's the reason why I'm going to be adding more light strategically here and then all around the van. I just wanted to show you that. I know it's daytime, it's hard to tell right now, but I'll show you guys at nighttime in a different lighting situation. Most likely in the end of this video, actually, that's what I'll do. I will turn all the lights on, different configurations, show you what it did look like before, show you what it looks like after. So I'll do that later on in this video once I get all this mounted up today. So, like I was saying, this LED light bar, I'll just plug it in real quick and show you guys what it does. So I'm going to be plugging it into the USB that is hardwired in my van, which I need to turn the inverter on. So inverter is now on. So now this is going to run off the 200 amp hour system through my battery system. Very bright. So pointing this at me, you guys can see it's warm. I can cycle to a mix of warm and white, or just white, and then I can make it brighter or dimmer. So right now it's dimming down quite a bit to a really nice dim system. Now I can blind you guys with the brightness so you guys see what's happening there, right? So this is going to get mounted underneath of here to light up this entire area. I just need to figure out where the switch is going to go, where all the wires are going to get routed, and how it's going to get plugged in, because I'm most likely going to have to splice into this wire so I can run it down and around, or I could actually tap into the positive and negative in one of these light wires to piggyback off the system. But most likely what I'm going to do is just cut the wire, extend it underneath the bed, run it around to plug in there. Okay, so what I've decided to do, get a little bit of light down in here. We've got the wiring for the momentary, or the on-off switch for the reading light, and then we've got all this DC power that is tucked in behind this unit. There's also DC 12-volt cigarette lighter style plugs here that are run on the same system. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be removing this. So I'm going to tap into the wire down there, cut the harness that the lights came with, and just run right off of that lead instead of running wires through the entire van. So to gain access in there, I'm just going to remove this organizer here. I got a couple things tucked in here. This is my rain mat. I might as well put that down right now. The floor is a little chilly. This is just a collapsible organizer that I keep in there, so when I do my shopping I can bring that in the store, bring everything out. It's much better than using bags, I will say. Yeah, my blanket stuck in there right now. So I'm going to put this up on the bed actually, just to get it really out of the way. And I've actually got the things that we're going to be using in there, so wire strippers and such. I keep my battery operated chainsaw back there as well, which is always helpful in the backcountry to speed things up. And that grants me access to all these lovely wires here that I can now tap into. So better view here, this heavy gauge wire are the main leads coming from the fuse panel from the DC system. And that just kind of comes up here. It's a little bit messy, but it makes sense, it works. I'm going to strip the tape off that to tap in, remove this 12 volt out of here because I don't need that there anymore. And what I'll do is I'll leave another lead as basically a dead lead. So if I do want to add anything else to the system, I'll just have two leads there that I can just untape and basically tap into. So yeah, let's get to work on that. So I do have to say, doing home renovations in the van with the heat running in cold weather is, well, it's not that bad. I'm just trying to find the end of the tape to unravel this, but this is a common day in van life when you're just kind of kicking around doing like home renovations. You want to change things around. We don't call the electrician. We don't call the landscaper. We just do it ourselves. That's what I love about it. It's like living with a giant Lego set. And just everything's always evolving and changing, and very simple and very easy. So unwrap all of this harnessed wire, and there is my main lead. So very simple to do this. Anybody can do this as far as I'm concerned. So up here in my junk drawer I have the speaker wire. This is 18 gauge. This is way more than enough to run that. No problems there. I have a wire stripper, and I've got electrical tape down here right there. So we've got electrical tape, wire strippers, wire. That's all that's needed. The light kit comes with the double-sided tape and brackets to mount it up there. That's already done, and it comes with the switch already wired in. So this is super simple, guys. This is like a 10-minute craft project or a 10-minute upgrade to basically get this run in and have it operational and working. The only thing that you really want to spend time on is making sure the mounting surface is clean, so you want to degrease it. I've got some cleaners here in the van, and then stick that on. Make sure it's warm, because if it's cold it probably won't work. It is getting rather warm right now. I've got the diesel heater on speed 3 and it is currently 20 degrees at head level. I'd like to get up to about 25 degrees before I stick it on there. Very simple, guys, so I'm just going to dive into this and get this out and show you guys a little close view of what I'm doing. Alright, so I've got the system, basically that 12 volt plug multi-outlet. I got that unscrewed. I got all the wires exposed. What I'm going to do now, just so I don't bump the system, is I'm going to remove the fuse from the fuse panel to this wire, because I'm going to be cutting into that. I don't want to pop the fuse. So I will lose power to this light, so I'll just get my battery operated light hanging here so you can see what I'm doing. But yeah, I'm going to cut the power to this wire because I need to cut it to remove it, and then I'm just going to piggyback off of that, which is super simple, guys. So let's cut the power. Alright, so I have yet to label this fuse system. No labels. So right now I basically have to pull each fuse to figure out which fuse that is over there. And then when I do figure that out, I'll be able to label it. I'm basically just going to start making a little diagram on my cell phone, marking out which fuse is which. I'll transfer that to paper and most likely stick it to the wall down here, or put the individual labels on this. Either or will work. So I'm just going to start popping fuses here. I don't want to pull the fuse to the diesel heater actually, so I'm going to pull this out actually. I'm going to pull this out. What this is going to allow me to do is check which wire is running the diesel heater, because I don't want to interrupt that cycle while it is running right now. And then I will be able to basically start pulling other fuses to find out what is what. Alright, so jumping down in here, it's fairly tight, but I do need to find the loom that is going up. So far I believe it's this wire right here. No, definitely not that one. I do have two leads down here also that are positive and negative, but they're left untied, so I can also tap into other things on this side, but gotta figure out where that's wired so I can pull the fuse and not disconnect off of that. Okay, I think I've narrowed it down. Nope, I lied. Huh. That's coming down. Oh, I think that's it. I think that might be it. It's so finicky to get in here. It's easy to maintain, but I need another set of eyes so I can see which wire I'm actually pulling on. Okay, I think that's it. That is it. Okay, top right corner, that side wall. All right, so that's popped. Now we're good to cut some wires. Alright, so I have a connector on a wire that is too close for the jaws of my stripper there, so I'm just going to have to shave it down just with this knife just to remove the insulative cover off that wire. And you know what? The whole wire is actually coming out of that crimp, so we'll skip that, I guess. The whole thing just pulled out. So that actually helped. So I do have them marked positive and negative, obviously. A little bit of a mess here. So let's get some of this garbage cleaned up. So this is getting tossed out, this 12 volt. I did cut it so the leads are still active. I mean, I could still tap into that realistically if I wanted to use it again. I'm just going to toss it in the garbage. I don't have any use for it, and they're very cheap on Amazon. If I do need to buy another one, I can do that at a later date. So as far as adding speaker wire, I don't need to this because the installation is very close in proximity to where I'm going to be putting this switch. I am going to leave the full length of wire on this though, just because I could tuck it in down here. I'm going to cut this probably about 4 inches so I could reuse this USB in a future project possibly. So basically just going to cut it, not even think about it, cut it. And looks like we got some really nice positive negative wires in there, really easy to access. I'm just going to pop that there for now, I guess. Strip this coating off, giving us access to positive and negative wires inside. And super simple project. Just being gentle on this wire because it is very small gauge. I don't want to cut it. So I got my crimper set to a pretty universal set there, so it's not going to rip the wire and the casing off. So I've got my positive and negative. I've got my positive and negative. It is that simple. Red to red, black to black, done. It'll light up. I'm going to finish this installation off just with some electrical tape. I'm not going to bother adding crimping or anything like that. That's not needed for this application, but simply just lock them together. So this will be very simple, very quick installation. I think anybody could do this. I mean, you don't have to be an electrician to do this. Very simple. And that's the beauty with van life, is a lot more people are getting into doing this kind of skills without having any prior experience in doing it. You know, you just start fiddling around, and sure, there could be some danger factor if you're dealing with high voltage AC or like high voltage DC. This is very low voltage. I would dare to say it's impossible to get hurt doing this, but I know someone out there is going to correct me. I've never been hurt doing this. I've always kind of picked away at it. So wrapping the negative and the positive, and then we'll give it a test run to make sure it works before we really tape it up. I'm just taping it right now to basically hide that connection. I don't like taping up my work until I know the piece actually works. So I am going to put the fuse back in the panel once I get this secured. That looks good right there safely. I'm going to pop the fuse in and give that light a little test run. And top right. And look at that. It works. So tapping into that power, everything looks good. Let's pop the fuse out just in case. That is running 12 volt. I do smell smoke, oddly enough. 12 volt. I wonder how many watts this is rated for, because I did just smell a little hint of smoke coming out of the remote. Interesting. Okay, I'm going to check the wattage on this. That is the only thing that I forgot to mention. Coming off of a 12 volt system is the wattage. 7 watts for this. I wanted to check the wattage coming off of that, because assuming this light up here, this little pot light that's my reading light, doesn't pull that many watts, so this system should be able to handle that load, but it is coming off the main power, so I may have to actually tap back into a lower. Let me look at this. Let me check the wattage on this just to make sure, and check the fuse system in there, because that is a 10 amp fuse. Let me do some math. Alright guys, so just doing a little bit of configuring between the AC, the DC, the wattage, the wires. I messed up. So, I was correct with where I was going and what I was doing, but moving the camera, I lost track of which wire I was connecting to, and I actually went off a different lead to a different voltage output. So basically what happened is the light still works, but now the controller switch is dead. So I think I already threw it in the garbage can. So basically I have the positive and negative and the green, the switch wire, out of this light bar, and I've got the little USB tag. So basically popped it on, positive, positive, negative, negative, through USB. The light still works. However, it's only working on high output and white light only. I lost the switch. The switch actually burned up because I went to the wrong wire. Wasn't paying attention. So the light is not broken. The light still works. It's just not going to work for what I want it to do, so I'm not going to mount it there today. I'm going to order another one. This is still useful though. It is also magnetic, which I did not know. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to mount this out underneath of the bed, out back. So when I'm outside at nighttime, I'll have a light shining down underneath of the bed on a separate switch, so I can light up the whole underneath of the bed. So when I'm out there grabbing stuff at nighttime, I can just reach over, flick a switch on, boom, this will light everything up. So it's not wasted. I just lost the ability to change the brightness and the color tone. Live and learn. So wrong wire, burned out the switch. We'll come back to that another day. So this is still open live, and I am going to put the fuse back in, but what I'm going to do is tape up those ends so it's not going to short out the entire system, and then I can revisit this when the other light bar that I just ordered arrives. We'll be able to tap into there to the proper wire. So sometimes mistakes happen. I'm just glad that I wasn't technically wrong, I just wasn't paying attention. I'd like to add that. I wasn't wrong, I just wasn't paying attention. So that buttoned up, that negative terminal there. I'll pop some tape over this positive terminal. And that's the beauty of this stuff. You know, when things don't work out, there's always another use for something. So I'm just glad the light itself didn't burn up. And that's what I was reading the wattage off of, was the actual light itself, not the switch. So this light has a stamp on the back that it's a 7-watt light, but apparently the microchip inside of the switch could not handle anything above, unfortunately. So it is 2 amp input, 2 amp. So that was my mistake there, but anyways, sometimes things happen, not everything's glamorous. But I did learn that it's magnetic. I would have never figured that out because it comes with stick-on mounts here, indicating that it needs to be mounted. So, and I got a block out of it, so I can still use this for plugging in my phone and whatnot. So no loss there. It never happened, right? Right. So let's get the LED light strips wired in, which will be actual proper this time because we're going to be plugging directly into the AC. Just got to run them all the way around, which is going to be a mess. So how these work is just it has this little control box. Now this particular brand actually has 2 outlets, so if I wanted to buy another strip, I could actually plug in another strip and run it down low, maybe down around the foot area of the van. But right now I just want it up high pointing down to illuminate the whole van without burning a lot of power. So that's where this is going to come into. Basically you just plug this into there, to the box. This little black eyelet, the little infrared part, does need to be visible to the remote. So I'm going to hide it behind the cabinet, so then I just put the remote pointing behind the cabinet and it'll cycle through all the color tones and brightness and all that fun stuff that I need it to do. So that way it's not visible and in the way as an eyesore or anything like that. And yeah, let's get started on this. All right, so going back to what I was saying about anybody can do that. Anybody can, as long as you're paying attention. I was not. So, moving forward, LED light strips. Let's just do a quick little test run of this. Very simple. Plug in, inverter on, plug lights into module. They come on, and remote. We could switch to white. We could do green, red, which I'm really excited for. Different shades of green, teal. Then there's program mode, so like flash and fade and do all kinds of funky things. Yeah, it'll kind of do its own thing. And then brightness, which is really cool. And then off, of course, so on and off. The voltage is interesting because I could hear the inverter doing different things as I'm cycling through. Cool. So I can hear the inverter going down as the brightness is going down. And I can hear it spooling up as it's going up. It flashes white to tell me that it's at maximum brightness. So that's max on the red. Yeah, so that'll work really, really great. And then off, like I was saying. So I'm going to put Velcro on the back of this and most likely Velcro to the side. The reason why I'm kind of in this area right now is because just thinking about where this needs to start and where it needs to end. These are self-adhesive, but this needs to start, the strip needs to start here and go all the way around because this box is actually going to be located in this area. So this wire, I'll plug it in that direction. This wire is going to go up and around the back of the cabinet. That way it's not sticking out. So shut the inverter off. We don't need that on right now, and basically start mounting and running these lights and peel and stick, and hopefully everything will go well. And the van is nice and warm right now, so we're at 25 degrees Celsius, so it should stick without any problems. Okay, so like I was saying about hiding this little white box, I'm actually not able to. Well, I am, but I have a choice here to make. These lights end right there. If I hide the box, I'm basically going to have a tag end of lights coming down off of the roof, shining out. And I don't think I really want that to happen. So I'm actually just going to have the box visible. Take a hit there for aesthetics, and yeah, so this will fold down. I'll mount it there and hide the wire down in behind, so that'll be nicely concealed, but the little box will be open, which will do 2 things. 1, it'll allow me to keep the lights above, and 2, I guess I'll be able to use the remote anywhere in the van because that sensor is going to be visible everywhere. So I'm going to stick that on there with some double-sided tape from the other light bar that I accidentally fried, and get this mounted there, tuck the wire in, so that'll be nice and clean for an install. and we won't have to worry about it. And then, like I said, we're going to string these underneath of this old curtain track along the back side, and hopefully everything will be tucked in and hidden nicely. All right, so I'm in the very back of the van right now, and I'm trying to utilize this curtain track, this aluminum track, because the curtain is there, but it's only on the back, or yeah, the back track, the back side of the track. I'm upside down now. So there is one rail of this track that is completely empty, and I can literally hide the lights inside the curtain track. I just need to press it in there with like a butter knife is what I'm using, and this is going to conceal these lights inside of the track, as opposed to sticking them on the wood either in front or behind the track, which will be very hard on the eyes when laying in bed, and that's kind of what I'm trying to avoid. I want these to be accent lights, not blasting me in the face. So I think this is a pretty clever way to get this in here. Just gotta press it in with this knife here to make it stick on the track. And realistically, if I did want to run a curtain on this track, even with the lights, the hardware to run the curtains still glides over these lights. So I'm not really losing a curtain track, which is a bonus too. So a few minutes to install this particular setup in my van. Is very easy. Your van may be different depending on how you've got it outfitted. I am going to be changing the color of these foams. I have to do that probably maybe tomorrow, I think. I got to get the van nice and hot again so that stuff sticks. It's basically just a stick-on wallpaper that's going to match the color scheme throughout the van with the bedding and the stained wood cabinets. And I think it'll look really great. So this curtain back here is actually utilized to hide these wires that are running down. So it is actually serving a purpose. As ugly green as they are, it is serving a purpose. I will be changing the color of the curtains, just not right now. So that'll work there. I want to continue snaking this light around, and then we're going to give it a test go. All right, so on the home stretch here, as far as the side goes, there's a guy parked right next to me in his car, and he keeps staring at me, wondering what I'm doing. I'm not bothered by it because, you know, I'm just doing my thing. If anything, I think he should be the one feeling weird for staring at me. Honestly though, right? So that's all tucked in there. I'm actually going to unstick that just for a second. I'm trying to get it tucked in high enough so I'm not actually going to see the light source as much as possible. I mean, I know there's going to be some spots where I'm going to see the light source, but I'm trying to minimize that as much as I can. And hopefully I'll get what I'm looking for. Get this tucked in there. Yeah. All right, I'll have to spin the chair, disconnect the shock cord there. Close that. I think I can almost go all the way around, actually, going up through the curtain track by the door, just like I did in the back. Because I do have a lot of linear feet here left. And there are little kits you can get to splice in. So if you ever buy these lights and you're left with a little piece, not actually garbage. You can actually tap into the lights with these little clever connectors that you can buy very cheap on Amazon, actually. And get the use out of all of your light strip. So that's likely what I'll do here. I've done it in the past quite a bit, actually, so jam that way in there. I can't see what's going on there, but it's so far behind the curtain that it's really not going to matter. It's up underneath the trim where I need it to be. That's kind of the important part. Okay, so coming up to the door area where I need to make a choice of how it's going to continue on. Alright. So this curtain here, I'm actually going to remove. And that's how I'm going to do it. Garbage, gone, don't need it. There are a couple little pieces here we'll just knock off the track. I'll have to get those with pliers later on. So I have a seat in my little fancy chair here. So I'm going to go back to running it in the curtain track, and that way it'll be pretty much invisible all the way across, and that'll get me around the door right back to where it plugs in, so a full 360 degree, and that uses up most of the lights, not all but most. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. And then we'll check the wattage, or see what the inverter is doing there as far as how much it's pulling. I could plug it in the Jackery, because I do have the Jackery with me, and that'll tell me the exact output of what it's doing. So I may do that just for you guys for oh, I need this butter knife. Just so you guys know how much wattage is coming out with the white versus the red, because that is a huge interest of me personally. I want to know how much power it's going to burn. And not only that, it's nice and dim in here with the red light on at nighttime, so it's easy on the eyes. And if you are a stealth camper or a stealth van dweller, I certainly am not stealth, but every now and then I do like a little bit of extra privacy when parking downtown in a major city. So having the red light definitely helps with that. And if you haven't thought about it, you probably will now. So running this in this curtain track is a little tricky. Trying to keep the light strip from folding, so I don't want those lights to fold over on themselves. Trying to push it in with this butter knife very gently so I'm not damaging the metal strip inside. So I don't want to damage the lights. Just enough for it to stick. Alright, so just finished stringing all the light strips up, and I have probably about half the roll left. I'm going to save this for a future project. Like I was saying earlier, you could buy for very cheap on Amazon little additions, little connectors that, as long as you cut it in the proper spot. There's a spot where you're supposed to cut these lights. If you cut it in the wrong spot, then you basically ruin the whole strip. So it is cut in the right spot. So inverter on, plugged in, and we're lit up on green, and this looks pretty awesome. So it's all the way around the front door, in the track, all the way around here, everywhere. I think it looks pretty good. I don't know how that's going to show up on camera during the daylight right now, but this is pretty awesome. Laying down, the only spot that I could see is obviously up in here because it's right under the track, but everywhere else is pretty well covered except for that spot over there. I could take white duct tape, which is what all this is, to hide these wires, and I could tape over those lights, but I'm going to leave it because it actually shines down some light. It's very useful, and it's not really that bad on the eyes. Switching the blue, so I could do it from anywhere in the van now because that sensor is actually right there on the box, and then I just unplug the wire and tuck it in the back. So very clean, very simple setup in my opinion. I could actually unplug this from the box. I did it that way, so if I want to unplug it and then put the plug away, store it, I could do that, and then it's just the box up there. And then when I want to plug it back in, just gotta simply plug it back in. A little trickier when this cabinet is actually open. So plugging it back in might be simpler this way. I had it plugged in the other way. A very simple plug to get in there. Just have to open up the cabinet is the only thing. So I most likely won't unplug it. I'll probably leave it up there all the time and just hang it up on a hook or somewhere tucked in the back. But yellow, orange, fuchsia, purplish kind of color, white, which is very useful, but it will burn more power. And I just heard the inverter kick in. So truth be told on that. Green, red is what I'm really interested in, and the green, and I like the teal as well. So those are my favorites. And then there's a timer on it, there's fade, there's jump, there's all kinds of different modes. That's at max brightness right now. So yeah, all in all, I think it looks pretty great. My little reading light over here still works. My fan still works. The leads are still open for when that other light bar arrives. Now that I know that that wire was the wrong one, I'll be able to get that reading light tacked in underneath, and that'll light up nice and warm glow. These lights still work. And yeah, I'm actually really happy with that. It looks really, really good. Can't wait till it's totally dark and be able to light up the whole back of the van. So very simple install, very straightforward. Just to give you guys another little update, I am going to be doing this foam covering probably later today or tomorrow. Change that because I don't like the color. I don't like the print on it. So I gotta get that big piece of vinyl, strip it out, and yeah, that'll be a whole process in itself. So do all the window coverings, that way it all matches. The wood grain here, similar, very close to the color. And the bedding matches, like I said, with the red, the blue, and the white, kind of matches everything else. That way everything will tie in and it won't look so chopped together. But very simple video, lighting done. Like I said, that other light switch I still have down below in this drawer. I'm gonna put that under the bed on a separate switch. That'll be a different video, another little van life project. Other than that, that's all I got, guys. So gonna be chilling out here. I'm gonna make up some coffee, some lunch, get some food out of the refrigerator, and yeah, kick back and relax, and then probably head into town and look for a switch and wire to get that started, so when the light bar does arrive, I could just simply slam it under there and be done with it. So let me know what you guys think of the van, lights, give you guys a good look at this in the dark, of course, and yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Alright, so I'm fairly happy with the way this turned out. I'll go ahead and flick this light off, and it is a really awesome vibe in here, guys. I gotta say, the lighting in here is really nice and chill, going from red, blue's really nice in here, green's really nice too, and of course white. Now that does kick the fan on the inverter up a little bit because that is burning a lot more power, burning the white light. Green seems to work really well, good power savings on that, and like I said again, guys, turning that on, you guys can see a huge difference. So definitely a fun little project. The light bar is going to be here tomorrow, so I'll be able to actually mount that, tap into the power. I did order a USB plug-in, so basically I'm going to wire this back into the 12-volt system, and it's going to go through its own little control box to plug the USB directly into that. That way I won't fry that switch. That is the easiest way I could figure out to go around that, because the wires coming out of there, just the wattage, it doesn't match up. So all in all, pretty awesome. Let me know what you guys think. That's all I got for you, so I'll catch you in the next video.